Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole and welcome to part 2 of preventing breast cancer. This video is going to be about mammograms and whether or not you should get one. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone watching this video knows that I am not telling anybody to avoid mammograms. If you really feel that you need one, or your doctor tells you you really need one, or you find a lump, then definitely get a mammogram. But this video is about not getting one if you don't feel that you need one, and there's lots of other reasons why you may want to wait or avoid them, and we're going to get into all of that in this video. When we as women go to the doctor, when we turn 40, the doctor always says, "Time for a mammogram," without batting an eye. There are so many variables when it comes to deciding when to get a mammogram, or if we should even get one, that this is actually a very irresponsible thing for doctors to do. They need to talk to us about whether or not we should be getting a mammogram, what age we should start, or if we even need one at all. Remember, mammograms do not prevent breast cancer. All they do is detect it if it's there. Now recently we've been hearing about this debate about what age that we should start getting mammograms. It's always been known that they need to start around age 40 and then every year after that. But now we're actually starting to hear that they may be doing more harm than good. The US Preventive Task Force, which is an expert group that reviews the latest research findings, recommendations about when mammography screening for most women should start. And their recommendation is at age 50 rather than 40. And that the frequency should be every 2 years instead of annually through the age of 74. The task force is widely used as a gold standard for determining medical treatment and screening. They recommend raising the age to 50 after the American College of Physicians recommend the same thing. And then they also recommend that women continue to undergo mammograms until the age of 74. Now for many years, the American Cancer Society recommends that annual mammograms start at age 40. But in October of 2015, they issued new recommendations that moved in the direction of those of the medical experts. They now recommend women start mammograms at age 45 rather than age 40, and then continue to undergo mammograms every year after that. Now some experts point out that screening mammograms usually do more harm than good because there's no evidence that they save lives. Now I tend to agree more with the US Preventive Task Force, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 different reasons why it may be a good idea to wait to get a mammogram. The first reason should be obvious, but unfortunately doctors play down the dangers of radiation. Now we all know radiation causes cancer, and I think, or at least hope, everyone knows this. Now how much radiation? Well, that's where it gets a little harder to define. Now your doctor's probably going to tell you that the amount of radiation in an average mammogram is low, about the same amount that you would get flying in an airplane across the country. Not true. An airplane ride for, let's say, 3 to 5 hours doses you with about 3 to 5 milligrams of radiation. Now I know this is not a term that most people are familiar with. And then they usually take 2 pictures of each breast for a total of 4 slides, gives you about 250 to 300 milligrams, and that's directly on the breast. So that's a lot more than an airplane ride, and an airplane ride distributes this radiation evenly throughout your body. With a mammogram, they take all that radiation and concentrate it on your breasts only. So don't believe any doctor telling you that mammograms expose you to small amounts of radiation. It's not true. Do your own research on radiation if you don't believe me. I don't want to get into all the details of what milligrams are and millisieverts and all that kind of stuff. Do your own radiation research and find out how much radiation you actually are getting exposed, because it's not what your doctor tells you. Now the second reason why you may want to wait is sort of tying into the first. If a woman is premenopausal, usually anyone under the age of 50, her breasts are much more vulnerable to damage from x-rays. It's been shown that the breasts of a younger woman who has not gone through menopause is almost as vulnerable to radiation damage from an x-ray than a fetus. Now I don't know any doctor that would give a pregnant woman an x-ray directly on her abdomen, but yet they don't hesitate to do so on her breasts, which are just as vulnerable to damage. The third reason you may want to wait is that if you have dense breasts. Now, there's no way to know if you have dense breasts unless you get a mammogram, so it's kind of a catch-22. But if a woman gets a mammogram and it shows that she has very dense breasts, getting a mammogram every year isn't really the best route. Dense breasts have a lot of glandular connective tissue, which appears white on a mammogram. Cancerous tumors also appear white, so these can be missed or very hard to see on a mammogram. A lot of the time, doctors don't even tell their patients their breasts are dense, and they continue to have yearly mammograms, all the while a tumor could be growing in there, but never shows up because it's hiding. Then when she finds out she's got advanced cancer because the mammogram kept missing the tumor because it was hiding behind all that glandular tissue. If a woman gets a mammogram, she needs to ask her doctor if she has dense breasts. And if she does, she should speak up and ask if she can have MRIs or perhaps ultrasounds instead. Mammograms are just exposing her to radiation for no reason. What really frustrates me is that doctors do not give women options. It's either get a mammogram or get out. I want an ultrasound or an MRI instead of a mammogram just because of the radiation, in my case, but my doctor won't let me. Now, there is a place near me where I can get an ultrasound, but I have to pay out of pocket, and it's like $350, so that kind of stinks. Now, I get thermograms every year, which are a bit controversial, but they are approved by the FDA for breast cancer screening, but they also say, along with a mammogram. But since there's no radiation and no touching or compression of the breasts, I still get it done every year. And I'll go into thermography a little bit later. The fourth reason is that during a mammogram, your breasts are squashed quite a bit, causing pain, and if you already have a cancer at the time of your scan, the crushing compression the breast undergoes during a mammogram has the potential to cause the cancer to spread. Now, this is very debatable, but it sounds like a legitimate concern to me. Now, the fifth reason is that there's a very high false positive or false negative rate, and the damage that retesting does. It exposes you to even more radiation, it causes a great deal of worry and stress, and it leads to overtreatment, which can cause cancer or other health problems in the future. So many women who are pro-mammogram are women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer and then insist that the mammogram saved their life. Now, I'm not disputing this, as it very well could have, but there are different kinds of breast cancer, and only some of them have the potential to kill you. Now, remember, though, that MRIs and ultrasounds have a fairly high rate of false positives as well, so you have to weigh that too. Okay, so let's say a woman goes in for a mammogram at age 40 and they find something suspicious. She's called back in for more testing, another mammogram, maybe an ultrasound or an MRI, then a biopsy, lots of anxiety, lots more radiation, pain, more waiting, more anxiety. Then she gets the call that it's cancer. Now, this woman doesn't know that some breast cancers have a very little chance of spreading and can even resolve on their own. So then she's treated with chemo and radiation, which is the normal protocol for treatment of cancer. She goes into remission, and then she's labeled a survivor. The next thing she starts doing is preaching, the mammogram saved my life. So let's go back and find out maybe what type of cancer she had. Let's say she had DCIS, which is ductal carcinoma in situ. Now, this cancer rarely spreads or metastasizes. Over 95% of DCIS cancers don't spread. Some doctors don't even consider it cancer. It's considered stage 0 or even precancer or just abnormal cells. Nothing really should have been done in her case. They could have waited, and maybe it would have just resolved on its own with a little help of holistic healing therapies, or maybe changing the diet, or it may have just stayed there for decades not doing any harm at all. If no mammogram had been done and then 10 years went by and she had had one at age 50 instead of 40, let's say, that little DCIS tumor might have not even been there because it resolved, or maybe it would have just been the same size or whatever. 80% of lesions found on scans are in situ in nature, meaning they have no potential to spread. That doesn't mean that 80% of diagnosed cancers are in situs. It means that when a radiologist looks at a picture of the breast, 80% of suspicious looking spots are probably in situs and don't need to be biopsied. But since there's no way to know for sure, they just biopsy all of them. And I understand why they do this, because it would be pretty unethical to just leave a breast tumor alone, but this is where the controversy lies. This is why so many experts disagree about when a woman should get a mammogram. My point is that many times women are overdiagnosed, overtreated, and actually receive more harm than help. And maybe this cancer would have been one of those that eventually spread and wreaked havoc on her body, but all those women that were overtreated whose cancer wouldn't have spread were given a false message that mammograms save lives. Or, they think, I could have died if I hadn't had that mammogram. And the problem is we'll never really know. That's why it's important to teach women how to prevent cancer instead of giving them the false sense of security that as long as I do a mammogram every year, I'm doing all I can to protect myself. Make sure you watch part 1 of this video to see the different tips that I have to help prevent breast cancer. In my opinion, I'd much rather wait for all these reasons that I've laid out. I don't really know if I'll ever get a mammogram, but I do plan on waiting till at least 50, but who knows. I'd much rather follow my anti-cancer lifestyle than expose my breast to a big dose of radiation once a year, which is, in my opinion, contributing to a pro-cancer lifestyle. Thermography claims that they can detect cancer earlier than mammograms. The way that they work is that they take an infrared picture that demonstrates heat patterns, and it may be strongly indicative of some breast abnormality. Heat is an indication that inflammation exists, and typically inflammation is present in precancerous and cancerous cells too. This test can detect subtle changes in breast temperature that indicate a variety of breast diseases and abnormalities, and once an abnormal heat pattern is detected in the breast, follow up with your doctor as needed to rule out or properly diagnose cancer or any health issue. Many experts don't believe thermography is useful as a diagnostic tool, but I think it does have a place in our lives. Neither thermography nor mammography can diagnose you with cancer. They're both just tools that show something is going on in the breast. Thermography shows heat patterns, while mammography can show variations in density between normal breast tissue and maybe calcifications or tumors, meaning benign or cancerous, but neither can actually diagnose you with cancer. The positives with thermography is that there's no pain, no radiation. They're actually safe for pregnant women and women of all ages. Thermography is FDA approved for the detection of breast cancer, but they say, like I said before, that as long as it's in conjunction with mammography. Other imaging tools include ultrasound and MRI, which also don't expose the breast to radiation. However, doctors usually don't allow women to receive these without a mammogram. What upsets me is that women are not given choices. It's like basically get a mammogram or we won't let you do anything else. Why not just let us decide for ourselves? I get a thermogram every year instead of a mammogram, but please do not follow what I do. Please do your own research and make an educated decision. I'm not telling any of you to avoid getting a mammogram. I'm merely telling you what I do and why. If you find a lump or anything abnormal with your breasts, please see a licensed physician right away. Now, in conclusion, I want to reiterate that I am not telling you to avoid mammograms. That's not my message here. I just wanted to lay out all of the information that maybe you didn't know about so that you can make an educated decision. If you feel that a mammogram would give you comfort, please get one. But just know that there are risks involved. Mammograms have helped diagnose dangerous cancers early, which has led to save lives. But I want you to make an informed decision, like I said, which may mean avoiding mammograms could save your life too. It's a decision you have to make for yourself. Arm yourself with information. And don't ever blindly do what someone tells you to do without researching it first. Especially don't do what I'm telling you to do. I'm merely telling you what I do and then all of the research that I've done on this subject. Also, remember that if you decide to get a mammogram and the doctor calls you back in because they found something suspicious, there's an 80 to 90% chance that it's nothing harmful. But if you do end up falling into the other 10 to 20% where they do find cancer, there's about a 20 to 30% chance that it's non-invasive. So you have more of a 70 to 80% chance that it is something harmful. And that means you should do everything you can to help prevent cancer starting right now. Don't forget to watch part 1 of this series for information on preventing cancer. Again, thank you so much for watching this series. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this, and have a wonderful day.